is. There you are, and here I am. I'm Charlie Simons. This is Do Not Talk, talking about the two things you're never supposed to talk about, religion and politics. So, SCOTT McKAY, you know the Patriot Streetfighter? I didn't either. And then when I was introduced to him and I first had him on the show, I had all my friends and even family members coming out of the woodwork going, I love SCOTT McKAY. I've been watching him for years. Like, well, cool. See, I've been in the broadcasting business all my life, media and radio and television. And I'm new to the whole podcasting game. He's got a few more years on me. He has absolutely become a mentor. There's strong people, there's courageous people, there's brave people, but rarely do you have the three together in one. That's been my experience with SCOTT McKAY, and if you haven't seen him before on my show, I'm going to introduce him to you today here on Do Not Talk. I'm looking forward to it, and I think you're going to learn to appreciate him as much as I do. Right before I get to him, though, I wanted to share this one thing to you, and this is why I think that this is the future for us right here, these podcasts. We're going to have to get our information online. We'll never be able to count on the media again. I don't see any change in that in the near future. Again, that's all I've done. And I'm telling you, it's not our future. Broadcast media, cable, satellite, all that stuff that you're paying Comcast $200 and something a month for is not going to give you what people are giving you online in podcasts. I keep telling all my fellow conservatives and Republicans and brothers and sisters in Christ Jesus, stop relying on TV and radio too. I mean, I thank God for talk radio, and there's some really good ones. Jesse Kelly comes to mind for a nationally syndicated guy. My favorite right now, as a matter of fact. Hasn't attained Rush Limbaugh status, but he's buried, at least in the area where I live. They don't run him when he's actually live. They record it, and they run him from 9 to midnight. Why? He's got the most honest show going. But then I find local guys like Lou Benninger. He's at a station in the Yuba City, Marysville area, and he's only on one day a week, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The most brave man I've heard in broadcast radio. He calls out his local representatives. He tells you what their salary is. He absolutely is hard to find anymore, because guys like him, for the most part, unless you find a local independent owner like that radio station is, they get fired. I'm a fine example. I was too conservative for the Salem Media Group. Salem Media Group, which is supposed to be a conservative Christian company. Yeah. Come on. This is where it is. And guys like this bringing us truth. I don't even know who this guy is. Somebody else shared him on Instagram on their page. All they do is pick and choose these kind of things and then post it, and they're trying to get their own following, trying to get paid, doing podcasting thing. Speaking of paid, I don't. This is a ministry. This is a labor of love. The show isn't even paying for itself. So I don't even know who this guy is, but I'm telling you, we've got to find these kind of people, and we got to start paying attention, because they're doing digging and they're doing the job that the media is not.
One of those idiotic liberal friends who try to tell you that the country's safer under Biden, you're going to want to bookmark this video, because I'm going to go ahead and shit all over that. We've seen a ton of liberal creators try to claim that violent crime has gone down since Biden took office. We even had Rolling Stone write an article about it. They claim that murder has gone down 13%. They claim a 6% overall drop in violent crime, and even a 4% drop in property crime. Now, here's the funny thing. If you were to just look at the numbers from Biden's DOJ, it would appear that they're right. Murder and violent crime have declined under Biden. However, there's a very good reason why those numbers have gone down. And that's because 2 years ago, the DOJ changed the way that local police departments report the crimes to the federal government. Whereas that reporting used to be mandatory, now it's optional. And
what?
Since it's optional, only 44% of all police departments reported all their crimes. Another 24% partially participated, but 32% of all police agencies didn't report anything, to include the LAPD, the NYPD, Miami Police Department, Chicago Police Department, as well as DC and Baltimore. So if you were wondering why the DOJ's numbers don't seem to match up with what we're seeing in reality, it's because they don't. And here's the most embarrassing part. They haven't accounted for a single crime from the LAPD. They haven't accounted for a single crime from the NYPD. They haven't accounted for a single crime from Miami. They haven't accounted for a single crime from Baltimore or DC. And they haven't accounted for a single crime from Chicago. And they still only managed a 13% decline in murder and a 6% decline in violent crime. Imagine how much murder and violent crime has to be happening everywhere else. When you remove LA, New York, Baltimore, DC, Chicago, and Miami, the numbers only decline a tiny bit. So no, crime isn't down under Biden. And no, violent crime isn't down under Biden. Only thing that's declined is the amount of cities that they're counting. Because the Biden administration has managed to make 32% of some of the most violent cities in this country not count.
Did you know all that? Did you know all that before I just showed that to you? Is that true? I don't know how you make something like that up. Lord help us. Let's take this to a guy who I think might have some answers for us, or at least maybe a little encouragement. SCOTT McKAY, the Patriot Streetfighter on Do Not Talk. Hit it.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! He calls himself
Charlie.
What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. There you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. What's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ow, Charlie!
Charlie Simons.
Charlie bit me.
There it is. And here he is. Hello, SCOTT McKAY. How are you, my friend?
Charlie, one of my favorite people in the world, man. It's great to see you. I got to tell you.
Just to hear those words come out of your mouth means everything to me. Thank you,
sir.
You
you're the best nature, the best energy, the best aura, man, of anybody I see out here in the podcast world. Is just everything about you is a pleasure. It truly is. And my audience knows I don't shine sunshine anywhere it doesn't belong. I tell you what I think, unless I don't want to tell you. You have to actually ask me, and if I don't want to tell you, then you're going to hear what I think. but man, it's just a pleasure, my friend. Just a pleasure.
I have. We've gone over your story before, and anyone wants to go back and check out what Scott went through, especially the motorcycle accident. Dang, that was hard to even hear. I can't imagine what it was like to live through it. This man has overcome amazing adversity that probably would have crippled or silenced the majority of people. But yet you still keep going, and so much so that he has put together, he got his own bus. It's an RV. He's got it taped up with the whole Patriot Streetfighter thing, and he goes on tour. He puts on these shows all over the place. You ever coming to California?
I don't have any plans for that at the moment, although we will. We went on the first tour, myself, Sasha Stone, Lee Dundas, Dr. Sandra Rose Michael, Scotty Sachs. We broke away from our own with Robert David Steele in 2021 in the summer, and we did our own. We ran around the country. We did a couple of stops in California somewhere, I think in your neighborhood too. We went around the country. And then the second time when I did just a standalone Patriot Streetfighter tour, fall of 2021, again, I think we had 30 stops around the country. Again, a couple in California. So we'll see what happens. Don't have a tour planned for this year. I do have an event coming up, just one Patriot Streetfighter event in the Northeast, because a friend of mine has been bugging me for 2 years to come to this beautiful Kentucky Derby style horse farm in Ohio, like a 300-acre plus beautifully manicured horse farm where they have world champion quarter horses, stuff like that. It's so beautiful. I finally just said, you know what, Teresa, I'm going to come. We're going to do an event there. So that's the only event that I have planned for the Patriot Streetfighter machine coming up this year.
If I can get you out here to California, I'll get you a venue. We'll get you in LA. We'll get you in San Francisco Bay Area. Get you in the Sacramento, right in the belly of the beast at the Capitol. Man, I'd love to see something like that.
They
happen.
love me in those places, bro.
I know they would. I know they do. I hear
crazy.
from them. When I have you on, I hear from them. But
I meant the leftists.
Who?
The lefties, the liberal left. When I come in Israel, they love when I come there.
Oh, I forgot. I have to actually consider them. Too bad. So I'm going to be real honest with you. There comes a point where I prayed. I had to take it to the Lord before I had you on this morning, because there's so many things going on in my life. There's so many things that are happening, both personally and professionally, and not one of them are good. And yet I have to keep going. I think that the Lord has given me this voice and this platform and this mind and this heart to at least do what I can, any way that I can, to try and bring hope and encouragement, but also Ephesians 5:11, where you're to be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose it. That's my job. When I have my own fellow believers attacking me for it, it gets really discouraging, Scott. And I started off this week very discouraged and literally feeling sick and thinking, can I even go on? How do I do it? And I know that you have got to experience that. Can you share with us what you do to work through it, to just put your head down and plow through it?
I got to tell you, sometimes people think in this world, the podcast world that we live in today, which is a bizarre world. There's many good people out there doing many good things, but with it comes when there's like a spotlight on you. If there's limelight on anything, there's always this crowd that runs toward the limelight. They want to be in the limelight. They want to be a part of whatever. And that's something I've run from my whole life. I've been on stages since I was young, like in my 20s, my mid 20s, speaking to 10,000 people at the Philly Convention Center, national bodybuilding stage, performing younger than that yet. So I've been in these situations of being on a stage and you have this public attention. And the reason I avoided it most of my adult life was because, pardon my French, it's the same bullshit from these personalities that want to criticize, attack, defame, whatever they do, make up lies. And I've stayed out of all of that forever. And unfortunately, this time with what you and I must do in waking up the world to the realities of what runs it, yet we had to come out in the open. And you more so, you've been on radio for a long time. And it's just it comes with the territory, which from me, my point of view, I think is a disgrace of humanity where we are at this point. Christians run around talking about being like Christ. They are the most hypocritical humans I run into, the Christian community. Why? Because they'll talk and quote unquote talk Christ on Sunday while they're sitting in church and walk out the church and they become Judas. And that's every day of their life. So to me, it's just like, cut the bullshit, right? If you're going to profess your faith to me, you better walk in it and stand in it, because otherwise I don't want to hear any of it from you. So it's discouraging. However, and I share in your sentiments of disappointment, pain or whatever, by things that are coming at you. They come at me too. And I mean, you and I talked earlier, I've got things coming at me from many directions. People you think you can trust, people that you've given them opportunity they would never have in their lifetime, people that you have given complete faith in how they would conduct themselves, only to find out that their respect for you is 100% opposite, like, coming at you like the enemy behind, under the radar.
Right.
And that has happened to me, all of us, we've all had this in our world. But let me say this, right now, and here's how I see it. Right now, we are in this transitional state. The Christ consciousness is raising higher and higher on the planet as we are all going through this spiritual ascension track. Some are on it, some are stuck, some are regressing. It's just, it's foretold, and it's where we are. So the way I look at it is, if you're standing in, now it doesn't mean, look, we all make mistakes. You do, I do. I can sin with the best of them. I won't sit here and tell you that I'm a saint. I'm not. Like I can point out a million of my own faults. One of those faults are not stealing, lying, or purposely hurting other people. Greed, complete selfishness. That you can't pin that on me. In my opinion, is that any of those things that are part of your world, don't think you're on an ascension track. You can kid yourself, but you're not gonna fake out your creator or the quantum realm that the creator has designed for all of us to work with or against, in concert with or against it. And that one leads to happiness, one leads to despair. But I look at it from this point of view. This year, we've been hearing about it. This is the Great Awakening revelation, the reveal, the big reveal. And the reveal is, look around you. People are revealing exactly who they are on so many fronts. It surprises guys like you and I. It's like, holy crap, I didn't see that coming. And we want to take it personal. And the best thing to do is sit back, still be you in the Christ consciousness as best you can. And whatever is burning around you, in some cases, let it burn. Let it burn.
What lifts you up? Because you know what dawned on me while I was telling you about my little problems, and you're sharing a little bit with yours. Nothing compares to what they've put President Trump through. Of course, the ultimate torture and abuse, and I'm not comparing President Trump to Christ Jesus, but with the torture that man went through, that God man, for us, took it all on himself for us to give us a way to salvation and a path to get back with the creator of the universe. Christ Jesus went through the ultimate. No human being could go through what he went through. But what lifts you up? What refreshes you? A lot of people say, well, maybe you're working too hard. You need to back away, because I believe that I like chess. I like to play chess. And I've learned quickly that you always see the best moves when you're not actually playing. Mm-hmm. That's why I always ask people, tell me what you see and how you think I could be better. I love that kind of input, because they're not in the chess game. Mm-hmm. But what lifts you up? What encourages you and makes you keep going?
It's my love for the people. Unfortunately for me, nearly on a daily basis, 5 to 6 days a week, I get to speak to patriots who follow my work, primarily through Operation Tomahawk, as we're teaching people to stop giving their money to the killers, move over and switch to the Patriot movement, going to companies that are Patriot companies, American manufacturers, etc. So Operation Tomahawk was a huge success, obviously, right out of the gate, became a juggernaut. So many of my particular audience is very active. It's pretty amazing. When we say, let's go, rally a battle cry, man, they move. And so I get, because of that, I'm not a walk away guy. Hey, here, folks, do this on your own. I'm on the phone every single day, 6 days a week, multiple times a day, getting 5 minutes with somebody who one of my Operation Tomahawk warriors are talking to show them how to make the switch. And I always say, hey, give me the time schedule the day before. Let me know. It's on my calendar. Boom. 5 minutes before, I know they're calling. They call. And I get to talk to these people. That lifts me up. Of course, they're telling me the same thing. Like, they can't believe I'll get on the phone and talk to them. So when I have like Nancy on the phone, Beth or Goldilocks or somebody will say, this is Nancy, from wherever. And I'll say, holy crap, Nancy, I can't believe I'm actually talking to you. Because that's what she always says, they say to me. And it kicks off a little bit of laughter, and we have fun, and I get to learn about them, where they live. And then, of course, they always validate, if they're talking to my people, they're validating that the work I'm doing is important, and they always let me know. That's what lifts me up. It's showing up at a tactical civics gathering in Mineral Wells, where Joe Lunchbucket, Sally Sewing Needle, middle to lower class folks are showing up because they want to fight for their country. And I show up out in the middle of nowhere in this little, whatever building that they have their gathering in. They can't believe I would come there. I'm like, this is the only place I'll come on a Saturday because I want to be around you people, beautiful Americans that aren't here because there's the spotlight on it. There's no money. It's not the in crowd. It's not the whatever. It's just, I want to take my country back at the county level. And that's who I want to be around. That's what I do. That's what lifts me up. It's always the people, always the people.
I appreciate the names that you make up, but my particular favorite now is Sally Silly Needle.
Sally Sewing Needle. Yeah, Joe Lunchbucket.
Oh, Sewing Needle. I thought you said Silly Needle.
I don't know where that stuff comes from. Just pops in my head.
Funny too. What Scott is talking about. This is SCOTT McKAY, this Patriot Streetfighter. Do not talk. What he's talking about is the wellness company. That's it's over 30 years. They've been around, still family owned and operated, and very patriotic family, God-centered, most definitely. And they're out of Idaho Falls, Idaho. They have over 400 products now?
550
something crazy. Yeah, something crazy, including food, including a lot of different food, and but it's all naturally derived, naturally sourced, and American made. I think they have some products that they sell through there that are from Canada, but it still has to meet the same strict standards. The majority of everything that they make is here in the United States of America. I'm a part of it, and I'm glad I am, and it's all thanks to you, Scott. And I utilize it. I use the products, but I also I joined the club, and so I'm building a team as well. But it's all with Scott. It's all under the SCOTT McKAY umbrella. And I'm so grateful for it because I've walked away from the big box stores. I've walked away from the wicked corporations that couldn't care less about you. I've walked away from them. I don't set foot in a Walmart anymore. I don't go to CVS. I'll never go to Target again. They're out of my life, period. And I believe we have to vote with our wallets. We have to support American-made products by our own fellow neighbors, our own fellow citizens of the United States of America. We've got to support them. And this is the best way I've found to do it, because I'm that Toby Keith song. May he rest in peace, by the way. Toby Keith, loved him. I'm that Toby Keith song, though, made in America. I'm the guy who will pay more for the shirt in the back with the tag that says made in the USA. But with this company, I don't even have to pay more, which is another great thing about it. So it's kind of like Amazon meets Costco. You know, at Costco, you have to pay a membership fee, but it's very minimal. And once you're in, you're in. And it's all done online. There is no big box store. They don't have to pay for all of that. It's all directly to you. And that's how most people are doing their shopping now anyway. That's why so many of these stores are shutting their doors. I mean, not only the crime problems in the San Francisco Bay Area, where you got In-N-Out Burger closing the store. They've never closed a store in their entire history of the chain. In-N-Out in Oakland, closed, done, because of the crime.
Things are that bad. Wow.
Yes. So it's really bad out here, but so most people are getting their stuff online now, and you can do it through. I would love to see you do it with what I'm building here in Northern California, which is through freedomswitchusa.com/Charlie, freedomswitchusa.com/Charlie, or through Scott. You want to deal directly?
No, right here, right. That's why I'm here, because we're shining the spotlight on. By the way, Charlie is CHARLEE, so make sure you spell that right.
I appreciate that. But also, you can still find me at tomahawkswitch.com/Charlie.
That too. Excellent. Good.
Yeah,
good,
man.
Good.
So there you go. Either way, we got you. And thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate it, because it has been a tremendous blessing. And I'll tell you what's really great about it is building a team like I have, with the help of our friend Ron Lyons. My product's paying for itself, which is kind of cool. But I get all my vitamins from them, all my supplements, all my household cleaning products, facial care, skin care, shampoo.
The
I've
best,
become
the
a
best
huge
beef,
fan of the laundry
the
soap.
best beef operation in the country, Riverbend Ranch. Same thing, same part of the operation. The best beef you'll ever buy at the third of the cost of Omaha steaks. Period, hands down. You're talking high choice and prime. Those upper levels, high choice and prime, go right to us. The rest from medium choice on down to the supermarkets. But yeah, talk about beating a supply chain issue. If we get really, we get hammered on the supply chain because we're memberships. We have our membership. I think it's like $19 a year, and sometimes it's $1 a year, I guess. But you get the best homegrown beef in the country. And I'm telling you, from the point of view, I've been buying beef off my cousin's farm, Goss Run Farms in Houtzdale, PA. 2 farms on both sides of the family, dairy and beef. Beef is still in operation. And I'm telling you, it's the best beef I've ever had. No hormones, no antibiotics. And, of course, raised on the farm there. And this is as good as it gets. And then whenever Riverbend Ranch started to come, I'm like, wow, I'm in a tough spot. I got 800 pounds of beef in my freezers from the farm. And now we got this too. I'm like, I have it come in every month anyways, up until just like this.
There you go.
Incredible.
So please join us with that at freedomswitchusa.com/Charlie or tomahawkswitch.com/Charlie. And you'd all be working with me with Scott and getting the word out about American-made products and naturally derived. That's the biggest thing for me. No chemicals. And I know it is for you too, because I don't think we realize we don't read labels nearly enough. I wish we did more so. If you start reading things, especially in your vitamins, you can't even pronounce, you have no idea what the heck is that, run away. Put that back. Stop buying that stuff. Stop putting that into your body, for heaven's sake. You mentioned about something along the lines about, if things go south to where we're having to be self-sustaining. I don't believe that that's an if, but a when. I think this election year that we have very nefarious, very wicked, demonic people who are going to do everything they can to take advantage of this position of power they have been gifted by the majority of us, unfortunately. It's stolen. Yeah. They are going to do everything they can. They're going to pull out all stops, and that includes shutting us down somehow, some way. I believe it's going to happen through power grids. I believe it's going to happen through, because it's real hard to shut down the internet. Real hard, especially since they themselves need the internet. But if you shut off everybody's power, you mentioned those freezers and the 800 pounds and all that. Do you have a backup power source? Most of us don't. And how are you preparing for that? How are you getting ready for as far as I'm concerned, the inevitable this year? Because if they can postpone that election come November, come up with some kind of martial law thing, all that does is give them even more time to put into place their whole little wicked one world government, their Star Trek utopia that they're pushing for, which is the ultimate goal of all of this, I believe.
Yeah, no question. I mean, look, I only know what we're told. A lot of people make predictions on what's going to happen when. I always say I have no idea. If I know, we're all screwed, because those who are, working hopefully against the force of bad for us on our side, they're pretty good at keeping their mouths shut and not broadcast, telegraphing their moves. But it's just simple economics, simple math. We are at a point now where the economy is beyond the point of collapse. It's being propped up by manipulation of the markets, lies, outright lies, etc. But when you look how the world, I mean, we've had the top oil producers in the world now. I think 7 of them have moved into the BRICS nations construct of asset-backed or precious metals-backed currency that actually
going back to the gold standard, basically.
Yeah, I mean, they've got things that have real value, demarcated value, versus the fiat International Monetary Fund controlled Federal Reserve Bank. So there we have a foreign power that has always been under control, well, at least since the Bretton Woods Act in 1944, under control of the U.S. And also through the incorporation, the United States Corporation of 1871. Same thing. They've always been taking more and more power from us, and they have that control. So now that they're at a point where they are in full retreat and they're trying to save themselves, they're going to scorch the earth. There is an economic calamity that has to happen for one of two reasons or both. Number one, that side, the satanic realm that controls the planet, all those controllers, they engineer economic crashes virtually on their schedule, so they can gobble up the wealth accumulated by the people for pennies on the dollar and then pump it up again and sell it to them for high. They just keep doing the same thing. Collapse, rise, collapse, rise. That's how they keep stealing us from us, robbing us blind, wiping us out. So that has to happen because that's the way they create a diversion for this Babylonian money magic slave debt system that by design will always collapse. They blame it on something else. They can't make that happen through World War III or other things right now. They're trying, but then you have the other side who wants this thing to go away so we can bring in a meritocracy. We can bring in a global fair system economically for all the underprivileged countries that are massively resource rich, yet people starve to death because of these Khazarian mobsters and criminals that have been by design think that they're the ones that are supposed to run humanity, wipe out all but 500 million of us, all those things we know from the Georgia Guidestones, all this stuff. They are they're in a death spiral. So they're dangerous. They're fighting with everything they can. This has to collapse by either design. This side wants it to go down to bring in a fair system, call it the quantum financial system, call it whatever. I don't care what you call it. And these guys want it to collapse as another diversion for what they've done to the planet and say that's why and have an escape route and excuse wise. So that being said, the train is down the tracks. There is a bridge that's blown out, whether we like it or not. Question is, what are you doing to prepare for that? We talked about an event, you and I, earlier that we're putting on in Columbus on the 10th and 11th of May. Patriot Preparedness Symposium that Patriot Streetfighter is running to get people ready for if this happens, you can be confident because here's the number of things you know how to do now.
Right. Good. What are you doing?
Personally? Mm-hmm. Oh, personally, well, for me, you can't buy enough ammo. Why? Do I want to shoot people? Hell no. It's great currency. Think about it, right? One thing most people may not be prepared for is if they start these mass murder home invasions around the country to turn this country into chaos. They want chaos because if they can point to chaos, now we got to call for the UN peacekeepers to come in so they can wantonly murder, rape, and steal, which is what they do all over the world. The blue helmets will come in. That's what they want. And I've said to the blue helmets again, I've said it many times for 4 years, if you come here for that reason, understand this nation will be littered with blue helmets with holes in them everywhere. And if you try to run, once you go up against the American patriot and the American veteran, and you find out what that means, running into a buzzsaw is a general euphemism. Once you start it, they're going to finish it. America will finish it. It's why the government's done everything they can to us to take us down in every way except the full frontal assault, because we got 750 million weapons, right? The founders made it this way so these scumbags could never wipe us out. And they're trying to, and they will if push comes to shove. But so for me, there are people that won't be prepared. Great. You have any coconut oil? I'll give you 15 rounds of AR ammo, right? 5.56 if you want. Somebody wants, I want something that somebody else has that I might not. Hey, I mean, you want some 9mm hollow points? I got some of those. It's currency, right? Some guys will buy shit tons of cigarettes, cartons of them, like in prison. That's how they use currency. I think obviously having a food supply, we know that. Have all these food supply companies. I'm a fan of them. I like my own stuff. I can buy cheap rice, like tons of it. Protein, again, I have a lot of that. We have a power outage. I got a bit of a problem. I got to keep putting fuel in the generators to keep the refrigerators going, right?
Right.
All those kind of things. But I'll tell you what, Ron Lyons is an expert at creating what's called pemmican out of beef. It's the coolest thing. I said, you got to teach me. You're taking your beef, you're slicing it, thin slices. You're baking it till it dries out, completely dry. And he explained it to me. I haven't done it yet. Put it in a blender and you blend it into a fine powder. Then you go to the butcher's and you buy lard, tallow, lard, whatever, lots of fat. You render it on the stove, boiling it off till it's nothing but liquid, and you scoop out the little remaining fat crispers or whatever, and then you mix it in there into all this powdered, basically hard, powdered beef. Mix it up, throw in salt, a little bit of sugar or honey to sweeten it up, and I guess you bake it or something. And here you go. Looks like basically a square of fudge if you cut it, but it tastes like a freaking steak. I've had some of his, and he foil seals it. And it lasts for 25 years. That's how the natives did it in this country forever, preserving beef, right? Or any type of meat. So these are the kind of things that we need to learn how to do to be prepared. So
people didn't grow up for the most part the way I did. I had a granny. My grandmother was from Mena, Arkansas, and she saved all the renderings. She saved all the fat. She cooked everything in the same iron skillet, all the meat, everything, even the cornbread in the iron skillet on the stovetop. I don't know how she did it, but it was brilliant, and I would love to have some of that again, Nana. But the staying power of animal fat is amazing as a preservative. And what Scott just told you, you might be thinking, well, that doesn't work. It'll go bad. It'll spoil. No. Animal fat, when rendered down like that, you can literally preserve things for years and years and years in that, and it doesn't go bad. Especially if you can refrigerate it, it just doesn't go bad. It's amazing how it works. Thank you, Lord, for blessing us with that. But that's excellent. We need to have some food supplies standing by. I'll be real honest with you. I could go for 3, maybe 4 weeks. That's not good enough. And we got to consider water too. We got to really think about water, because forget bathing. Just to sustain yourself, you need like a gallon a day to stay healthy, and for everything you might need for brushing your teeth and so on and so forth. A gallon a day. Where do you store that much water, especially if you live in the city or you live in an apartment? What do we do about that? Do you have any suggestions or ideas on that?
Well, I wish I did, but all I would say is that if something would happen like that, I would make sure you fill up your bathtub, showers, whatever. Again, you have 2 sinks, fill one of them up. There are times in the past where I thought we were nearly at that point. I had a couple of those big, not quite 55, 30-gallon trash cans. If we're headed for that, guess what? With lids on them, fill those suckers up with water. Why? If you need some drinking water for a while, guess what? You can always dip your metal cup into a trash can or a couple of trash cans. Look, there's nobody better prepared for these things than the Mormon community. Got a lot of friends up in Salt Lake area, Provo, Spanish Fork, American Fork, all those areas, and
they teach you to be ready for a year.
Everybody, you go to their basements, you see how they live. They got like a 55-gallon drum of rice. They have all prepared boxed or canned food on the shelving system. They feed their families by pulling off the shelf, and when they buy and replenish, they put it to the back, and it's a system, because that's how they've been taught since they came across the mountains. And they're prepared. I mean, it's really amazing how they're prepared.
That's true. Water heater too, by the way. One thing people don't think about, if you need water, you got it. Most water heaters are like 50 gallons. You got all that water that's in there. Turn off the gas so it doesn't keep heating it up, because you don't want to be. It's overwhelming sometimes, Scott. When we think about these things, and when I see, you read Revelation, you know who wins in the end. But we're going to be going through, if we, the United States of America, don't get our act together and actually get a conservative leader in office to try and right this ship, to try and shut down some of this wickedness that's going on, including that gentleman at the beginning talking about the DOJ made it voluntary to report the crimes in your city. When did that happen? How come nobody told us about that? No wonder why all this crime statistics are down. How convenient for an election year. We've got really bad things on the way. And when I try and think about how can I prepare, what do I have to do next, and so on, it can really drive you to distraction. It can discourage you to where you're thinking, I'm just not even ready. You know what? Sometimes, Scott, maybe that's the best place for us. Maybe we need to get to a place where we're like, Father, it's all you. It's all you. I'm just one little old kid down here relying on you, giving our life. I gave my life to you. So, Father, please help me, lift me up, direct me, guide me, protect me. And Scott and all who are watching and listening right now, Father, I pray for your blessing over all of us and your help during this horrible time that's going on in our history. But if it is your will, we'll usher in your kingdom and your will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I lift all watching and listening now. I lift them up to you in your name, Christ Jesus, King Yeshua. Amen and amen. Sometimes we have to just get to the point to where we just give up, Scott, and we give it all over to him. We can only be so ready for so long, and some of us are better at it than others. You're a mentor to me. You're an inspiration. I love watching your shows. Where can people find you and follow what you're doing?
PatriotStreetfighter.com is a website. By the way, the event that I mentioned up in Ohio near Columbus is it's on that website right at the top. You'll see the flyer. You'll find my Rumble channel. You'll find the places where people find me on multiple video streaming services or platforms. The easiest way to get to the primary that we use is Rumble. So just type in PSF for Patriot Street Fighter, although Street Fighter's one word, not two, trademark issues. So Patriot Street Fighter, PSF, rumble.com, PSF, rumble.com. You'll land right on the channel there. One thing I do want to say about folks, about having faith, right? If you sit and wait for Jesus to come and save you this time, you're going to wait another 2,000 years, because the book I read said faith without works is dead. You don't do anything, you can expect nothing, right? Same thing when it comes to us sitting here waiting. That wasn't Christ's message. Christ said, these works you will do, and even greater than I. In modern English, that means you got to get off your ass and do something. If you want to earn your ascension, you have to do something. Too many people have sat back in wartime conditions, situations, insurrections, brutality of Rwanda, praying, Jesus, please spare me. How many hundreds of thousands or millions have been dead and butchered waiting? The power is in the Christ consciousness in motion. Christ did not sit back and wait for God to do what needed to be done. He went into the temples. He beat the shit out of people. He didn't upset a couple tables and yell at them. He beat some asses, smashed tables, threw out the Khazarian mobsters, right? Took on the most powerful force on the planet, the clergy and the Roman Empire, and they killed him because he was trying to tell people, God is in you. Stop listening to them. Stop looking up. Go inside. That's where your creator resides, and you have this power. I'm showing you. I think Megan Rose sent me this picture of this mug, coffee mug, has this charcoal drawing of what we see Christ in with his robe on. It's awesome. I never forgot it. Here's what it says. It says, you guys, that's not what I said. I thought it's the greatest thing. Exactly. That's not what he said. He said this, right? So preparedness is number one, taken action. Nothing can be guided or directed when it's not in motion. Setting still, in my opinion, in life, in all ways, is a death sentence. Spiritually, emotionally, physically, you have to be moving. You have to be doing something.
I had to go live on YouTube for this. I'm going to snag it as quickly as I can because I think they'll most likely take this show down. But at this point, I've been deplatformed on so many different things merely for talking this way, to which to me seems so simple, and I can't understand. And maybe that's the whole thing. You can't be telling people there's just one way to go, and I pray that you do, because here's the consequences if you don't. I've always been encouraging my own fellow believers to do something. Don't just sit there. Start with voting. We don't even show up for the primary election. A third of the state of California claims to be Christian, but only 40% of them are even registered to vote. Why? And then I'll hear things like, well, I don't want to vote against God. Trust me, when you don't vote against wickedness that's running for office, you are voting against God. You haven't stepped up. You haven't done a dang thing. Scott's absolutely right. You're just going to sit there, well, I'm just going to wait on the Lord. Then that means you're leaving people like us out here to take all the slings and arrows while you sit back and do nothing. Now, if you're including us in your prayers to lift us up and help us and encourage us and keep us going, fantastic. Thank you for that. There's nothing you can do better than that, praying for someone else. And thank you for that. I'm sincere when I say that. However, please do something. I've been amazed just recently at a GOP event down in Los Angeles, broadcasting live from down there, Scott. And I had one really strong patriot tell me, Charlie, I love what you post. I love what you say. I love what you do. But I can't like it. I can't share it because I don't want to get put on a list. So you're leaving me to get put on a list, but and you like what I'm doing, and you think it could probably benefit what we're saying to somebody else in your circle of influence, but you're not willing to do that. What do you say to that, Scott? Other than what you already said,
all I can tell you is all the cool kids are on a list. If you ain't on the list, you ain't a cool kid. Look, here's the provocation. Like, for example, Charlie. He's got to take this off of YouTube because they're likely going to take it down. Well, here's how I'm going to help him speed it up by taking it down. All you censoring milquetoast pussies wearing your sister's skinny jeans at YouTube, go fork yourself. Charlie doesn't need your channel. He's everywhere else. He's a badass, unlike you MTPs. So there you go. You got to tell it like it is. Look, this is not a time to be dancing around anything. You're either a patriot or you're not. It's that simple. I've watched a lot of people run from this battlefield. I've watched pretenders. I've watched the ones that are attacking each other on all the podcasters fighting each other. Now there's some where it's merited, no doubt about it. I get that. But all of a sudden there's this movement that the satanic realm is now permeated throughout our own community. Now you got podcasters attacking each other, and I've been attacked from day one. I'm used to it, but I just keep on going. I don't focus on that. Doesn't matter what you do. People are going to attack you. If you're doing for good, you're bulletproof. If you are doing it for good, you will be bulletproof. It bounces right off you. You have that divine protection. Don't be afraid. Fear and doubt is how they got us all. They use fear and doubt. And when you have this mindset, go fork yourself. You guys have been raping and murdering kids for thousands of years, and you're running this country, you're running the royal families, you're running the Vatican, all the other countries. This is what you're doing to kids. You're killers, and you deserve to be in the ground, and I'm going to get my friends together, and we're going to come and put an end to all this. That's the mindset you have to have. I said this on this camera from day one. Surprisingly, I'm still here. Doesn't mean that, we're not vulnerable. But I'll tell you what, I've been warned many times, hey, they're going to take you out. Wow. What a surprise. I'm going to have to die in this lifetime. No way. Nobody told me that. Well, my idea is like, oh, everybody got to die sometime. Everybody got to die sometime. Do you want to die for something or nothing? Right? Do you want, like Reagan said, the difference that separates Americans from the rest of the world? An American would rather die on their feet than live on their knees. I've never forgot that. I'm not going to live on my knees. End it now. Why? Release me. Release me. Plus, my spiritual ascension's already guaranteed. Why? I am willing to give that life in defense of the people of this planet. Guess what? Thanks, guys. I still won. You guaranteed my spiritual ascension, and somewhere there's a divine ass beating coming your way now. Or you got 22 million pissed off Patriot Streetfighters. Good luck, So I look at it that way. Anyway.
Man. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining me here again. It's always a pleasure to have you on, my friend. And I'm serious about getting you out here. I'd love to see you. I know You're coming from the middle of the nation. It's not that far of a drive, is it? As long as we can keep
No.
gasoline under $7 a gallon or diesel,
Yeah.
whatever you say.
Well, yeah, this bus, they take like 700, 800 bucks to fill the tank up. You know, these things are 50,000. These Prevos are 50,000 pounds. Like, hey, I never had a bus before. I never thought I'd have a bus in my life, but you know, this war kind of merited it. There she was. And, you know, we picked it up, and now I'm like, wow, I need like 2 full-time jobs just to run the thing. But anyways.
All right, brother. We'll get you out of here.
Fun.
Scott McKay, the Patriot Street Fighter, patriotstreetfighter.com, patriotstreetfighter.com. And join us too if you want to buy American-made products, naturally derived, including all kinds of food as well. Check out freedomswitchusa.com/Charlie, and also still tomahawkswitch.com/Charlie, and join us for that. Trust me, you'll thank us. All right, friend. I'm Charlie Simons. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America, but most importantly, may America bless God. That's an order.